Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to have a chat about what it's like living with a Thai girl while we have a walk around the New Year Beach Road Food Market. Now this extends from right up at Fat Coco's, which is where we are now, and it goes all the way to Walking Street. We're only going to walk halfway to where the music stands are. So it's very interesting. If you like Thai food, then I think you'll see just about every single type of Thai food there is. Really, it's extensive. You watch and you'll see. Let me just quickly say thank you to Ted, subscriber Ted, for emailing me with an idea for a video. And it's a really good idea, and no one that I know has done it before. So we're going to do it in the next week or two. And thanks, Ted. If anybody else has a really original idea, and they think it's a good idea to do a video on, email me. The address is everythingpat@gmail.com. So just email me, and we'll see if we can do it. This girl was very pleasant.
You want a tart?
No, it's all right. I also want to say thanks to you guys who've emailed me saying that your subscription has been removed, and it's been done again. Every week or two they do it. This is what's happening with Patia videos. YT just don't like them. Anyway, just check. Always check every time, every week or so. Check that you're still subscribed. Okay, guys. Right. Let's just get on with the chat, shall we? Now, I've lived in Thailand for 13 years, and I've lived with 3 different Thai girls in that time. And even though they were very different people with very different jobs, there were many similarities, which of course has to do with the fact that they're Thai, and also in many cases other Southeast Asian cultures. And the first one we'll start with is food, which is quite appropriate considering where we are. Not just the difference in Thai food, it's more about the attitude toward food in general. Like, for example, if the girl I was staying with at the time, if she cooked food for us to eat together in the condo, she would often cook 2 completely different dishes, one for her and one for me. Both Thai dishes, but for some reason she doesn't want to eat the one that she's cooked for you. I don't know how they figure this out, but it has to be something different many times, which brings me on to how important food is to Thais, and how they can become fixated on eating a particular type of dish. Now, this happens, for example, she'll get some idea in her head about eating XYZ dish, and nothing else will do. So you jump on the motorbike and you start searching around around all the streets, and dozens of different food carts, all selling perfectly nice food, but no, that won't do. It has to be the XYZ dish and nothing else. You can go from street to street for 30 minutes until you find it. Crazy, eh? Another thing that they do, which if they're from Isan, not so much the girls from Bangkok, but if they're from Isan, they seem to like to eat on the floor. They seem to put the food on the floor, put a cloth down, and put everything down on the floor, and they sit cross-legged and eat on the floor, even though there's a perfectly good dining table right next to them. It's just the way that I think they've been brought up. It doesn't happen. I did stay with a girl from Bangkok, and she never did that. She always ate on the table. So I think it must be to do with the way they're brought up, but that's probably what it is. Another thing that can happen is you say you go to a really nice restaurant to have a nice meal, and she'll order 4 or 5 dishes, even though there are only 2 of you, because Thais are used to eating in family or friend groups where everyone eats from everyone else's plate. You don't have your own plate. So they become used to eating multiple dishes each meal. Not as we do in the West. Yeah? So they don't feel satisfied with just one dish. What can also happen when you've finished your meal in a restaurant and you're on the way home, she'll say, go a particular route, because I want to go past these bunch of food carts. And then you're going on past the food cart, and suddenly she'll say, stop! As we pass the som tam cart, which is a very spicy salad, and she has to eat som tam. It's like an addiction, even though she's already full. This is another example of what I would call food fixation. Actually, I think it's very strange, but you can go past lots and lots and lots of different foods. They've got it fixed in their mind. They want this particular one and nothing else will do. That does happen often. Moving on to the next thing that you will experience sometimes living with a Thai girl is the silent treatment. Now, this can often be caused by misunderstanding something. Like, I've had it where I said something that was completely misunderstood, and the girl went into silent mode. Now, this is a complete shutdown of any communication at all. So they go completely deaf, and it's impossible to sort out the misunderstanding because all communication is cut off. It can also happen if you do something or say something that they don't like. The problem is that when they set their mind to this mood, they can keep it up for a couple of days. Then, on the 3rd day, she'll wake up in the morning all chatty as though nothing had happened. Thai girls are experts at the silent treatment. So let's have a little look. I'm just going to I quite like the look of this food, so I'm going to buy a sausage. Fried cheese hot dog.
Yes.
Looks big. How much? How right?
79 baht, 79 baht ค่ะ
Is hot dog inside? And cheese? Go on, try one. Yeah. What, 20?
79 baht
Sorry?
79 baht ค่ะ
Jetsit. Jetsit. Oh, sorry, okay. Okay. Okay.
กินเลยหรือกลับบ้านคะ
Okay.
กลับบ้าน
Cut barn, yeah. Cut barn. Okay, popcorn crap. Fine. Thank you. Cheese hot dog. There you go. Now, something else which you will come across if you live with a Thai girl is the phenomenon of losing face. Now, the simplest way to understand what losing face is would be to replace the phrase with either the word embarrassed or humiliated, except it's not the same here in Asia. And simply being embarrassed, as in the West, which you can laugh off, here it's much more serious. Now then, Last night, let me tell you a little story of what happened last night, which is a perfect example of losing face and saving face. Okay? So, last night, I went into a gents club just as it opened. Okay? So I went in early, just as it opened. And I walked straight in, and there's a service girl who I know very well. And she came over to me and said, "There's a new girl just started today. I'm sure you'll like her. Shall I bring her over?" And I said, "Sure, okay." So then this lovely young farm fresh girl sat down next to me, and we got drinks and started chatting. Then 5 minutes later, the girl who I usually see in this gents club, my regular if you like, walked in. She'd arrived 15 minutes late, and she saw me sitting and drinking with the new girl, and she walked straight past me without looking, and ignored me completely and not say hello, nothing. And she went into the back to get changed. 5 minutes later, she reappears, ignores me again, and sits down on the opposite side of the room, looking daggers at me, because she'd lost face, as all the other staff in the club knew that I was her regular customer. There was only one thing I could do to save the situation. So I called over the same service girl and asked her to go across the room and pointed to my regular and said, "Go tell Som I want to buy her a tequila and come join us." The service girl said, "You want two lady? Two lady?" I said, "Yes, two lady." And she scuttled off across the room. And now, as soon as the service girl spoke to Som, the regular, the look of daggers turned into a huge smile. And she jumped up and came skipping across the room and plunked herself down next to me on the other side from the young girl. And she gave me a big hug and kisses and everything. So that is an example of saving face. So there are two examples, losing face and saving face. Good example, I guess. Another thing about losing face is, rather than lose face, a Thai will resort to telling white lies. An example of this is a couple of years ago, a Thai lady I know was starting a new business. And when we were chatting, there was something I could see may become a problem, and I advised her to change the way she was doing it. Her answer was, "That's not the Thai way," and she ignored me. A few months later, I asked her how things were going. "Great," she said, "everything's great, everything's wonderful." A few months later, same again, "Everything's wonderful," she said. And then one day, I bumped into her French husband and mentioned this, and he laughed. And he said, "You know the problem that you predicted? Well, it happened, just like you said it would." And she had to change from the Thai way to the Falang way within a few weeks, but she won't admit it. So that's what I mean about Thais will tell you white lies rather than lose face. Now, if you live with a Thai girl, something else which you'll have to get used to is her screen addiction with regard to her phone, especially TikTok and Thai language Facebook. The first time I realized this was a real problem was a while ago when I had a condo which didn't have a regular sofa. It had two large armchairs, both facing the TV, and one was set slightly behind the other, and the girl was sat in the one which was further back. So I was sat in the front one, and I couldn't see her unless I leaned over to one side. Anyway, we were watching a really good movie, and it came to a dramatic scene in the movie. And I said, "Wow, look at that." And I leaned over to see her reaction, to find her head down, glued to TikTok on her phone, not watching a movie at all. Now, this addiction is a real problem, made worse if their English is not that good. Which brings me on to the subject of lost in translation. I mean, the level of your Thai or her English makes a huge difference to the quality of the relationship. It limits the level of conversation. Now, Thais are not the best at conversation anyway, unless it's gossip. Sup-sip is what they call it. Now, living with a Thai has severe limits regarding meaningful conversation. It basically doesn't exist. Now, a Thai girl has zero interest in wasting her time as she sees it talking about anything which doesn't affect her personally and directly. Her favourite subject is her. Now, if you ever want to open a conversation with a Thai girl, just start talking about something personal to her, like her hair, or her makeup, or eyelash extensions, or some cosmetic procedure you can see which she's had done. Something personal will get you an immediate flood of conversation back. Unfortunately, her conversation ability usually is limited by a lack of education and general knowledge. Now, if you want to live with a Thai girl, then you have to accept these simple facts, because it won't change. And don't try to educate her, because most Thais don't want to learn unless it affects them directly and personally. I mean, they will learn something like how to do eyelash extensions, because they can make use of it immediately and to make immediate money. But general learning, like what's happening in the world outside of their personal bubble, they have zero interest in that. Now, something else which you need to get used to if you're going to live with a Thai girl is Thai time. Now, this, to put it simply, is a total disregard of any type of timekeeping or promptness. For example, if you arrange to meet your lady somewhere, and the Thais understand that from past experience people will be late. That's the Thai people. Now, and they're unreliable, and they don't want to be standing around waiting. So, even though they arrange to meet you at, say, 6 p.m., they will wait in their room until they get a message from you saying either, "I'm leaving now," or more commonly, with Westerners, a message saying, "I'm here already." Then they'll message back, "Okay, I go now," which inevitably means that they're late by the amount of time it takes them to get from wherever they are to the meeting point. And that's on a good day. They can easily just turn up 30 minutes or an hour late and don't understand if you complain, because in their mind, time is an approximation. And the only thing that matters is that they actually did turn up in the end. So don't complain. Okay, you understand Thai time now? Something else which happens every other month, maybe, when you're living with a Thai girl, it can do, not necessarily, is some sort of family emergency or crisis with her family up in Isan, which miraculously can only be solved with your money. And this is money on top of the money you already agreed for her monthly allowance, which you give her. Things like her dad needs to repair his truck and doesn't have the money, or her brother wants the deposit for a new motorbike, or another one which I had forgotten about that was her other brother needs to be bailed out for drug dealing. I've had that. um, and I even had one ask for a large amount of money to pay off the bank who had a mortgage on their family house, and the bank were threatening repossession. Now, you can expect dozens of different tactics to try to part you from your money. That's just the way it is. Okay? So, are you hungry yet? Looking at all this food? Do you want me to do a couple more? See, the sun's going down, isn't it? We're getting toward the end. Got another 5 minutes, maybe. So, okay, I'll do a couple more. All right. Now, another one which you'll all know, I'm sure, is if you ever say to a Thai girl, do you want to go this restaurant or that restaurant, or do you want to go here or there or whatever, what you want to do, the inevitable reply is up to you. Now then, the reason that they say that is because of this thing I mentioned before about losing face. They don't want to lose face. Now, if they suggest something, if they say, well, let's go to such and such a restaurant or whatever, and the food is no good, or something's wrong, you get ripped off or whatever, then they will feel that they take the blame. They'll feel that you're blaming them, you know, which is just the way it is. That's what they want to avoid, that, so they don't ever make a commitment with regard to what to do, where to go, or whatever. Obviously they won't. It's just the way they are. Up to you. You've got to. It really gets frustrating, actually, you know, because you think, well, I'd like to know what you really would like, and if you actually know the girl well, and you do push it a little bit, and say, I really want to know what you like, what you want, and you sort of you're more open with it, then you can actually get to the truth. And she'll say, oh, well, I like to go so and so. I like to, if we're going to go eating, you want to go with Patrick's, or you want to go hops, or what you want to do? And she'll, oh, I like hops. Okay, fine, we'll go there. But you need to sort of drag it out of them. But you have to do it in a nice way. You can't be aggressive anyway. You have to be very, very friendly and nice, and try to ease it out of them what they really want, because otherwise you're just going to get up to you, and it's very frustrating. You need to learn how to avoid it, you know. Let's see, we're nearly at the end. I think we can fit one more in. Okay, one more little scenario. Okay. Okay, last one. There was one occasion when a girl I knew had a day off work. I said, what you want to do? You want to do something? And she said, I want to sleep. What, you want to sleep all day? Yes, I want to sleep all day. And that's the way they are, you know. If they have a chance to sleep, they will sleep. I mean, don't ever wake a Thai girl up in the morning. Don't wake her up. Let her wake up herself. You know, then it's okay. But you wake them up, and they'll be grouchy and not happy for half the day. You know, you really don't want to wake up a Thai girl. Yeah, you want to just be let them sleep, be relaxed about it, and that's just the way they are. What can I say? But yeah, don't wake them up. Right, okay, this food's good, isn't it, don't you think? Right, guys, so don't forget what I said before about subscribing. Not just you subscribing, but check that you're still subscribed every week. Check you're still subscribed. How about that? Lovely. A nice grasshopper. What do you think about that? I've actually got another picture further down. Let me just drop that in here now. Delicious. Just dip the head in a bit of tomato ketchup. Lovely. Okay, guys. So, as I said, subscribe, like, share, ring the bell, and don't forget to look at Patreon. We're just starting again with a few new Gents Club entries where we actually go in and speak to the girls and talk to the girls and meet them everything on Patreon. Can't do that on YouTube. We're doing it on Patreon. Okay? Right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And I shall see you on the next video. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot.